So I'm Jane Pelusi and I'm 51 years old.
And I'm Mike Pelusi. I was born way back in 1955, so that makes me 61, nearly 62. And I was born in Perth, and but I travel all around the world, so that's how I live my life.
I'm Hedley. I come from Africa originally. I was born in South Africa but raised in Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe. Grew up on a farm and been feral ever since. Love the bush, anything to do with the bush, anything to do with camping. Going to be 68 coming up in March, and never been happier or healthier.
I'm Larry. I was born and raised in the United States. I've never stopped walking since I moved to Australia, and once I've finished with the mummy duties and the wifey duties and the working duties, I now have freedom to walk all the time. I heard about it when they first opened it a long time ago and went, oh wow, I want to do that. And everyone said to me, you'll never do that, you'll never carry a pack, you'll never make it. And it wasn't until my kids got older and I really looked, and then went out with someone. I found someone who wanted to do it as well and wouldn't go because they were solo, and that was the start of my adventures, and it's never stopped.
It's the whole human experience, the people that you meet, the shared camaraderie, but also the shared information. I have learnt so much.
There are some days it takes forever because you're caught up in the flowers. He's an orchid freak. I just love the flowers, and I'm a huge bug person. So if there's a bug, that's it. I'm going to stop and play with the bug. I'm going to play with the spider. I'm going to take photos of it. I am hopeless, and so it takes considerably longer to get down the road because I'm taking so many photos and having so much fun playing with flowers and bees and whatever.
My name's Amy, I'm 22. I will have my birthday on the trail, turning 23. Yeah, so I've just finished my studies, which is why I've chosen to walk the trail. I usually do it with Mum, so the past couple of years me and Mum do a section. And then, yeah, this year I just decided to do the whole thing. Starting at Sullivan Rock to Albany, just because I don't have the time to do the full thing. I kind of squeezed it in. But I'm starting on the 27th of June. Yeah.
And when do you plan to finish?
Around the first week of August. So, yeah, about 6 weeks.
Wow, that's a tight schedule.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, but it should be good.
So how long did it take you to get yourself planned for this upcoming trip?
Yeah, so I'd say about 2 months. It didn't take me long. And then the last week was kind of just like a panic, like get everything together now. The first 2 weeks I'm pushing it a bit harder, and I haven't done any training as such. So my expectation is that the first week is going to be the hardest, and I'm going to be extremely sore. But I'm expecting that, and I know that's going to happen. But then after that, I'm assuming as my strength builds, it's going to become easier. Forward to between, I think it's Pemberton and like that after Pemberton. I've heard that part's quite pretty, like along the beaches, the inlet crossings, the little canoe bit. I've done a bit of Pemberton before, but never anything south.
My name's Rhiannon and I'm 26. I'm from Perth and I'm out here as a bit of a growing experience. I was a bit unhappy with where I was at back in my normal life, so I thought this was a good way to become grounded again, have a new energy. Yeah, I've known of the Bibbulmun track for ages. I forget how I know about it. I jumped on the website a couple of years ago and become a bit more familiar with it. But it's something that I've known of for a very long time. I've never really had any hiking experience, so this was just a bit crazy. Yeah, a bit full on, jumping right out there.
I'm Michelle Ryan and I'm 47 years of age and I'm from Walking 2x2. I know about the track because I grew up in Kalamunda where the northern terminus is to the Bibbulmun track. For this journey, for my end-to-end, I walked majority of the time solo. Did open it up through my walking site to have other people join me along the way. So occasionally I had people come and walk with me out on the track. All up, I took 54 days to walk end to end. That's with 3 rest days. It's my end to end from south to north, from Albany up to Kalamunda. Basically, I was walking home because Kalamunda was where I grew up. I chose to walk that way too because it's cooler down south in April, and by the time I got to the northern section of the track, it had cooled down.
I'm Heather McNamara, age 45, live in 2J, a country town northeast of Perth, work in the city and have lived in WA now for around 22 years.
How did you hear about the Bibbulmun track?
Well, it was when I first met my husband. We went for a hike on the Bibbulmun track many years ago, and I hadn't been camping before or anything like that, so here I toddle off with my little school backpack and those great big sleeping bags you used to have when you were in school, and that essentially was my first experience of hiking from Hills Forest to Ball Creek, so only an overnighter, 2.4 k's in and out. Yeah, I've decided to do an end-to-end on the Bibbulmun track. I have my long service leave, which I've taken to do that, and one of the main reasons for doing the end-to-end is last January I was diagnosed with stage 3 melanoma, and I've gone through a year of treatment, hospital visits, etc., and I just wanted to spend some time on my own and to go through my own thoughts and processes, etc. And this is one way that I can do that with the time and the energy to do an end-to-end. Yeah. Start on Saturday the 17th of June in Kalamunda, and starting at hopefully 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, so it will be a bit of a intrepidation to start off with, a bit of a unknown, but hey, it's a walk that you can do, and it's step by step, and I'll just walk my own hike. And to double heart a few of the campsites along the way, and having rest days in the towns as well. So essentially starting on the 17th of June, and I'll wind up in Albany on the 19th of August. So roughly 9 weeks, yeah. Wow, coming up to the start of my end-to-end, the preparation and the logistics have been phenomenal. So not only is it considering what food I'm going to be taking and what equipment and the training and the planning, it's also food drops and where you're actually going to be staying along the way too.
If you're planning for a hike like this, it can be quite a huge effort. You essentially have to think about how long you're going to be out on the track, what equipment you will need, and how much food you need to carry. That can be really overwhelming for some, but the good thing about the Bibbulmun track is that we have the benefit of the foundation and their knowledge helping you to plan. I dehydrated all my own food for my 54 days out there, which was a huge mammoth effort, but so worth it. And you have to consider where you're going to have your drop-off points, because let's face it, you can't carry 54 days worth of food. Usually this means posting it ahead to one of the track towns, or even getting family and friends to deliver it, which is a good way for them to come and meet you on the track and say hello.
Having done a lot of tracks at other places in Australia and in the world, the Bibbulmun track is really 6-star. It's well marked, you've got fabulous huts to stay in, all that stuff that you don't have other places. What they have isn't on the same scale. The Bibbulmun track and the foundation for the knowledge that people have in there that can pass on just leaves every other trail for dead. In comparison, it's really 6-star.
Bibbulmun track has great diversity. It's a track that is available for everyone to use, whether you want to be a day hiker, a weekend hiker, or walk the whole 1,000 kilometres from end to end. It's there and available and accessible for everybody.
I sleep in a tent most of the time. You can kind of avoid the snorers when you're in your tent, which is nice. I think it's a bit warmer in your tent as well. But I have stayed in the hut a few times, and that's also enjoyable. Just love the simplicity of the shelters, and you wouldn't want anything more. Yeah.
The huts and shelters are really good. They're great for when the weather's bad, but I normally stay in my tent. I prefer my little tent rather than sleep in the huts or the shelters.
So when I was looking at what equipment I was going to take with me on my end-to-end, I decided to take a tent, and one of the reasons being is that you really can't guarantee that the shelters are going to be available for you. And not only that, you might not get to a hut at the end of the day, and you might need to tent along the way as well. So you need that shelter when you're out and about.
Some nights it's tents because the mosquitoes are going to eat you alive otherwise. Some nights it's the hut. Some nights the huts are really crowded, or there's 20,000 school kids in there and you think, I think I'll take my tent elsewhere. It varies. It just varies.
Mount Wells was probably the best one because it was indoors. I mean, to start with, it kind of looks a bit creepy because it's all like old and like rickety, but it was a good night's sleep.
Weather sometimes will dictate it. It was really scorching hot. We were leaving, we were up at 3 and gone early and into camp by 9, and you wouldn't want to walk after 9, it was too hot. And we were sleeping out just under the stars in the tent at night. It was much cooler than being in the hut because you got what breath of air was coming through, and it was beautiful to wake up at night and just see all the stars above the tent. That was gorgeous.
Yeah, we were all iced over at Possum Springs.
Yeah,
Everything was iced.
So far fantastic. It's been really hot the last few days, been hot and humid. We've even had thunderstorms at night, which are very dramatic. But that's why you love three-sided huts, because they provide that shelter, and it's great to watch that rain come down when you're not out in it.
Toilets, campfires, beds, it's never been overcrowded. Sometimes people have left like little bits of food in the food drops, which has helped because I kind of ran out of food. The first week was hard, yeah. The first day was fine, and then I double-hutted on the second day, and that was really quite hard because I had a hill right at the end of the day. I don't think I've ever been so exhausted, and I was coming in at the end of the day and thinking that the sun was setting and I wasn't going to make it in time. And then the day after that, I just did one hut, and that was like a recovery, and then the next day I did another double hut, which ended up being 36 Ks. It was pretty flat, but just the long walking, it again just took it out of me, and it was raining. And after that day, I was, well and truly destroyed.
We're walking early, and the light in the forest as you're walking, it's very peaceful.
As a photographer, the same. Early morning, last 2 mornings have been real early starts, just around sunrise. And yesterday was, after a bit of rain overnight, there was mist coming through the karri trees, and the light was at a low angle streaming through. It was just stunning. There was birds everywhere, and so it was still cool. And so that kind of thing is really hard to beat.
It's weird how you do get so tired, but then when you wake up the next morning, you feel good again. I've never double hutted before, so that was definitely a different experience. That was a lot harder than I expected. Because once you get past that 20k mark, like everything's just sore and tired. My feet still ache a bit. I did get blisters on my hips and on my feet. As I said, after a couple of days, it kind of goes away. Like your body starts getting used to it.
Well, where am I at on my end to end? Currently on walking day 14. The first 13 days were from Kalamunda to Dwellingup. And I had a rest day there as well, and boy, did I need that rest day.
Not really enjoyed the weight of my pack. That took a really long time to get used to. That would probably be the biggest thing that I haven't enjoyed. Yeah, carrying, a bag that's over 20 kilos every day, it's difficult.
You're going and what you're doing, it is a different experience. I've got some ankle problems, otherwise I'm strong and good walking. It's just that I get these ankle pains, and that comes in at about the 12k mark, so I've had to work out some strategies to help with that. But otherwise I found that I'm mentally stronger. I can get through it better, I think.
Yeah.
You might not
No,
disagree.
I agree. Yep.
6, 7 days at a stretch between any form of settlement, township, village or whatever, and you have to be fully self-sufficient for that 6 or 7 days, depending on what what pace you walk at.
I've fallen over a few times, so I've had a laugh to myself about that, kind of after I've kind of laid there for a minute and thought, am I okay? Getting lost has been a little bit funny afterwards when I found my way back. I have actually gotten lost a few times, but that's just through me not concentrating, daydreaming, looking at the ground type thing.
13 days out walking without a rest is quite hard on the body physically, but also emotionally as well. I was pretty much a blubbering mess when I walked into dwelling up. Body's holding out quite good at the moment on the end to end. I will say that walking on an average 20 kilometres per day does put a toll on you. My feet are just throbbing when I get to camp at the end of the day as well. You feel like you've got bruised heels more than anything else. And unfortunately I think I've developed plantar fasciitis. I guess when you're out on the track on your own, you're with your own thoughts, and lots of questions start to arise in your head. And some days I've been a complete and utter blubbering mess. And I don't even actually think till then that I'd actually let it all out. From Discontinued to Possum Springs, very sore feet in the morning, and it being quite cold, your feet don't tend to warm up until around 10:30, 11 during the day. Excitement of that day was actually going across the new Marri Bridge. I think potentially I might have been the second walker going across that one. A lady in front of me, Colleen, she would have done that the day previously. Roads, it was wet. The long roads going alongside the river where you can actually transverse the side of the hill. The views are fantastic, but the roads were very, I would say, treacherous in terms of the ruts that were in there from the vehicle tracks and filled with water. Probably about 30 puddles were crossed, 2 were fell in, and also slipping as well, I guess aggravated my foot a lot more than what it had. Walking further along near the Harvey-Quindanning Road, I had my phone on and I heard a message come through, and I just thought to myself, look, I've got phone signal. I'm still about another 7 to 8 k's out of Possum Springs. I was walking about 1 kilometre an hour, and it just wasn't going to happen that evening. I would have had to camp overnight, but I would still have had the same problem the next day with my foot. So decision was made. Contact 000, spoke to the ambulance operator. Signal was faint, so I had to call back again as call failed, and were able to direct him to where I actually was with the iPhone. So having that technology, even though the signal was fairly faint, allowed the ambulance to essentially drive up to exactly where I was. So that was a good spot, and I think also a good decision about stopping and staying put. And even though it's extremely disappointing to come off the track after all the planning, etc., and the walking that had been done thus far, I think going further would have put more strain onto myself. I was getting quite anxious and hyperventilating at that time as well, and not to consider it as a failure, because what has been achieved has been massive.
My name's Jill. I am from Perth. I'm 52. I was originally born in Scotland actually, but we've lived here now for 48 years. I heard about the Bibbulmun track probably 10 years ago now. I was on another one of my Let's Do Something Different sort of projects, and I saw it advertised in the newspaper some courses that they were doing and some long walks, Bibbulmun Track Foundation, and they took us down to Jarrah and released us with these really heavy backpacks into the wild and showed us the ropes. End to end that I did in May of last year, I walked by myself, walked from north to the south. The reason in my mind for doing that was I thought I wouldn't be fit enough for the soggy sand beach crossings that are so much a part of the south journey. And so I thought if I do the hills first, and then by the time I'm at the beach I'll be so fit that I'll just gun it. So that's why I'll do it that way.
And did you?
And I did. I gunned it. Did. I was very fit by that point, yes.
I think one of the most interesting characters would have been Dave.
Yep.
I don't know how many times this guy has walked the track. 26, I think, was the last count.
The last count I spoke to him was 29.
29 end to ends. His bush knowledge is amazing. And people have a lot of stories about him, you know, and mostly negative I've heard, but I found him to be nothing but a gentleman. He's taught me skills that I went, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. He's done it so many times, and he was just always a gentleman. And I met him when I hiked with my grandson, and he's done special things and taught this young lad who was under 12 at the time, you know, some skills that I didn't have. And, you know, I think that's really special, a really special character. Very positive and very inspiring.
When I spoke to him, out of a 6-year period, he'd spent 5 years and 2 months on the track. And he was on his 8th, I think it was, leg between Albany and Kalamunda.
Without returning home.
Without returning home. And I've run across him 4 times out there. How can you not? When I'm out there every year and he's out there all the time, we do bump into each other.
We meet characters all the time, don't we? Some probably trying to get back on track in life, I guess.
We've seen a lot of young people. There's a guy, Alistair, he's a couple of days ahead, 20-year-old, another girl, 24. And they're just at a stage in their life where they've just got some time and they don't quite know what they want to do. So they come out here to
get away from technology and work it out. And they've been great too, fantastic people. And it's quite inspiring.
I've met a lot of interesting characters along the way. Everyone's so different and got something unique to offer you and a story to tell you, and it's really special. Like, you can really get something from every different person that you meet, and you just have to have an open mind and be willing to listen.
The other character I think I've met on the track is Jono.
Oh yes, Jono.
Jono doesn't have anything. Jono has been known to walk in his dressing gown. Jono has basically tried to dry out his sleeping bag and had it burn, and try to go to an army surplus or whatever and borrow or steal from somebody a sleeping bag so that he could continue his end to end. He's just one of those guys. Hard to describe, but what a character.
What a character. He was also the one who carried a tiger snake around in his bag and in his backpack and didn't know. He just got up in the morning and stuffed stuff in it. He went pulling stuff out that night and pulls out a tiger snake in his pack. And he laughs when he tells it. He said it just must have gone in there, and he's just like so blasé about it. But he's a beautiful character, just a gorgeous character. Loves to just get away when he can, and just total, it's like, oh, well, I'll stuff this in and I'm gone, see you later. And he hasn't got this and he hasn't got that, but he manages to make do.
He's got nothing, but he makes do. Yeah.
He's a character, yeah.
But there was a lady ahead of us who spent her 80th birthday in the Torbay hut. So, and the Bibbulmun Foundation came down with a cake and all of this stuff for them. We never met them, but...
Was she an end-to-ender? Or
Yeah, she was just that 3-4 days ahead of us, so we never caught her, but...
You meet so many interesting characters. The biggest one, the main one I met was Pack Animal. He is hilarious. He's always out on the track. Everybody knows Pack Animal, whether you love him or hate him. I got to spend a couple of hours talking to him on this trip, and I did see him a couple of times on the track. So that was really cool.
Dad and 2 sons on that bit from Cairns, and we had a great fun with them, conversation, and we ended up having a couple of drinks with them in the Denmark pub afterwards, getting in there.
Yeah, and Julia,
she was fantastic.
She'll finish the same day as us.
Yeah.
Heaps of kangaroos and wallabies, lots of birds. The blue wrens are really pretty. They kind of follow you, like they just like hop from tree to tree in front of you. But no, nothing else. No snakes. Unfortunately, no echidnas, or I haven't seen any possums or anything. There has been a few mice in the huts. Haven't seen them, but you've heard them running around, and there's like little poos left in the morning. So make sure you put your food away. But yeah, so mainly just the usual kangaroo, wallaby type thing.
Kangaroos at times. Yeah, quite a few actually. Wild pigs, just a couple. Odd bandicoot. Lots of birds, different times from the usual birds, wrens, eagles occasionally, hawks.
I came across surprised I should say, because they don't normally go for you. A male emu protecting his flock came around the corner and he surprised me and I surprised him. We had a little standoff until his chicks had moved out of range and he decided, okay, it's time to go. Got to be the loopiest, daftest creature in Gaza. I don't have 2 brain cells to rub together, but you got to love them, you know.
Because I've got a bit of a snake phobia, and you have to sort of get over that while you're on the trail, because you begin to know the difference between a lizard's rustle and a snake rustle. You begin to know which one is which. One day there was one, I took a step and my pole and my leg were over the top of a tiger snake and it was just slithering through. He just kept slithering. I had a moment and he started leading from then. So you had to clear the snake.
The echidnas are the highlight when you get to see them because they're so rare. Red-tailed cockies, wedge-tails, the normal plethora of birds, tons and tons of roos.
Possums come and steal your food at
Possums come
night.
see your food. Rats that want to show your backpack because they think there's something in there because there's a smell left. But yeah, usual Australian wildlife.
And of course you get the plethora of goannas out there, your blue tongues, your racehorse goannas and what have you, you see along the track. Some days you could go for days and days and days without seeing it and then you fall across a whole bunch. But no, it's fantastic. I mean, to be visited by a quenda just as the sun's setting and finishing off your meal, in the hope that there's going to be some scraps around for it.
My name's Steve Sertis and I'm the events manager here at the Bibbulmun Track Foundation. I'm Perth born and bred, so I've been exploring the Perth and its surrounds for quite a while now. I got into this probably from my mid-20s onwards. Yeah, and I'm 47 now. I stumbled across the Bibbulmun Track by accident. And I did a day walk that was suggested in one of these books that I had. And while I was walking along, I came across a sign that pointed left to Perth and right to Walpole. Back then, the track only went as far as Walpole. And it said Bibbulmun Track. And I thought to myself, what is this? It is a motorbike track, or is it a horse track? And the book that I had actually had right at the back a little bit on it, which I didn't realise. And it said it was a walking track that went from Perth to Walpole, around about 650 kilometres. And I think you've got to be joking. There's a walking trail that goes all the way from Perth to Walpole. What mad idiot would walk this trail? Who would walk all that way? And then I got back to Perth and then I thought, I'll find out a bit more about this Bibbulmun Track. And it was right at the time, so we're talking mid to late 90s here, that the new trail was being developed, because that was the old Bibbulmun Track that I stumbled across. And there was a whole momentum happening that I didn't know about. This whole project of building a new trail, new campsites. What was then the Friends of the Bibbulmun Track had just got underway, and they were looking for volunteers to do various things, so I put my hand up and I became a maintenance volunteer. And during that time I was still walking, I started walking old sections of the Bibbulmun Track because the new one hadn't been finished. Got terribly lost many times, carried the wrong kind of food, did all those things that new hikers do, right? You get onto that steep learning curve and it never stops. You just get better at learning, I think. But yeah, that's where it all began. So I began as a maintenance volunteer, and then, so that was in 97, 98, and then it went from there and became a full-time job eventually. So.
While I was hiking my end to end, I was also doing a lot of filming for this documentary and meeting people along the way. I was really excited when, I think it was day 4, I ran into some volunteers out on the track doing some maintenance. I've just been walking along and I'm on my way to Nulakai, and I've just come across some beautiful workers out here maintaining. Say hi.
Hi. Hi. Wei, I come from China.
Lele, I come from China too.
Enrique from Mexico.
I'm Dora. I'm originally from Bulgaria, but I have been living in Australia, in Western Australia, for more than 25 years. And I've been maintaining the section from Gilgi Road to Nulaki campsite for 15 years. And I come here 3 or 4 times per year.
So I'm Mark from The Life of Pi. I am 31 and I'm from Fremantle. I heard about it when I was training for a hike in Costa Rica, and yeah, I just needed to get some training up, so I just headed out to Kalamunda. I knew that's where the Bibbulmun Track started, so just started pounding away on the first section to Mundaringwe quite a lot. Solitude, like you can go out into the forest and you're alone for hours on end, just surrounded by nature, the sounds, the smells, the sights. Yeah, it's just an escape from working a 9 to 5 every single day. And also, yeah, WA is such a diverse place that you can be in forests, you can be in plains, granite rocks, anything. Got into volunteering because I'd been using the Bibbulmun Track so much through my blog that I wanted to give back, and yeah, it's a great way to give back. So I started volunteering with the Bibbulmun Track about this time last year, when I got this section, which is Trees Road to DV Road, which is in between Yortamung and Possum Springs. So I'd been on the waiting list for about a year to try and get a section. So finally got one, had a field day, met all the volunteers around the area, had a great time, and yeah, every 3 months I come out here and clean it all up, make sure everything's fine, prune everything back for the end-to-enders coming through. The volunteers that make things run.
I guess one thing that draws people to walk the Bibbulmun track is because of the facilities and the fact that it is so well maintained, that there's a lot of people out there checking it all the time. Markers are really good, you know, there's reliable water at the campsites, and so that's a real draw card. The aim of the Bibbulmun track is to get the broadest range of people out there, and so it really does do that with the facilities that it does offer. It has so many people keeping an eye on it, separates it from a lot of other trails. One of the reasons why the foundation exists is to get people trained up, skilled up, to get their confidence up, to get out onto the trail and do it themselves. So we run the calendar of events with a range of seminars, workshops, walks, a whole range of things to do that, to get people skilled up, get them the confidence, bust those myths about being out in the bush.
I contacted the Bibbulmun Track Foundation and went on a number of their workshops. I did their end-to-end workshop and also the food and a fuel stove workshop as well, which was extremely beneficial for the types of food that you could use and eat along the way. I also got in touch with the foundation just for them to have a look at my plan and just to make sure that I'm not essentially overexerting myself on a daily basis.
That whole getting back to nature, that interconnectedness that we have with the natural world that a lot of people are just oblivious to. It is there, everyone's got it. They just don't see it or they lose touch with it. That Get Lost with Steve. It's a one-day workshop where we teach people the basics of navigation off track. So using a map and a compass to find a place in the bush without walking on a trail. There's various reasons why people want to do that. They might not have a choice, they might be geographically embarrassed or lost, or they're doing that as fun. They're just walking off track and just doing a map and compass navigation. We start the day off with a bit of theory. We talk about the compass, we talk about reading maps, how to use a compass in conjunction with a map. We do various little tiny exercises outside of our seminar room, and we just get people to use the compass, not just pointing the needle north, because anyone can do that, but actually know how to use a compass. A lot of people put a compass in their pack and they've got no clue how to use it. Then in the afternoon we go for a walk and we just go deep into the forest and we find a start point, and then I say to people, right, I'll see you at Ball Creek campsite, for example. And from that point out in the bush, they've got to find the campsite. So they go through the bush, supervised, but, you know, in pairs, but they put into practice what they've learnt that morning, and then they make it to the campsite. But then, not just finding the campsite, but then finding another spot. So we do a navigation from the campsite out again. But we really put into one day so many skills. It's really, really good fun. It's good fun. And you really get a sense of achievement when you find your destination, and then you're not lost.
Meeting trail angels was just an amazing experience to have when you're on the track, especially as an end-to-ender. One angel was Nina. Her husband was walking a section and she came out to see him. She saw me and asked if I was walking and then said, "Come on, I'll make you some lunch." I also had angels come out specifically to meet me, as some with special treats like watermelon, chocolate, hot cooked chicken, bread rolls, beer. Even had a couple come out and make me fresh hamburgers. Claire's angels were by chance when she lost her way, and four-wheel drivers found her and brought her to camp. There was the hot cross bun lady on the beach. Oh my God, it was Easter. And I was walking along the beach and she was holidaying there and she saw me and asked what I was doing. When I told her, she was like, oh wow, let me give you a hot cross bun.
Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday Michelle, happy birthday to you. Hip hip, hooray, hip hip, hooray, hip hip, hooray.
So, I'm Jake Cohen, and I'm from Hingham, Massachusetts in the United States. And I'm 19, and I came to Australia to hike the Bibbulmun Track.
I'm Patrick Ryan. I'm from California, USA, and currently living in Mosman Park in Western Australia. I'm over here hiking the Bibbulmun Track.
I flew into Perth on the 19th of May, and I spent one day in Perth, and then on May 20th I started hiking the track. So I've been out here for about 32 days now.
I came in, started on the 22nd of May, just out here. It's been ups and downs like the trail is, and it's pretty good so far. Well, my favorite part definitely has to be getting out of the forest after like 800 kilometers, and just it opens up to this beautiful view of the ocean, and it was kind of overcast, a little windy. It was a long day. It was like 44 kilometers or something like that, and just getting out there to see that beautiful ocean and like crashing against the rocks and everything, it's pretty sweet. Rejuvenating. Yeah.
Best part of the track is just the people I met along the way, because even though you're going through all these different landscapes and scenery and doing all these things, like what really makes the track special is, you know, like the families you meet who offer you food, or people like Yvonne and Matt at Giovanni's farm stay who helped us out a lot, and Patrick and everybody else who I've met along the way. And it really makes it special, and that's like the memories I'm going to have the longest. Can I tell my getting stuck in the rain story?
You can go for it, yep.
So, when I went to the Bibbulmun Track Foundation in Perth, I asked the guy a lot of questions, and one of the things I asked him was are there any diversions on the track? Then, no, it's all free and open, so you can just go ahead. So I was happy to hear that. And day one, I walked about 8K in, and I was feeling really good, really happy, loving the trail. And I went right past Hewitt's campsite, because I knew it was only another 10K to the next one. But there was a diversion around the campsite there. So I did the diversion for a little bit, and I didn't have a tent with me because I was expecting to sleep in the campsites. And I was going down to the diversion for about 30K maybe, and it was getting really long and dark, and I was getting pretty cold, and I hadn't seen anyone for a while. And eventually it just got dark. So I decided to just pitch my sleeping bag and my mat on the side of the trail and wait for morning, try to sleep. But then it started to rain. And since I didn't really have a tent, I can't set it up. So I put on all my rain gear, stuffed my sleeping bag underneath my rain gear to keep me warm and it dry, and I sat underneath a grass tree for 13 hours waiting for it to be over. So that was probably the worst moment on the track, but I got it over on the first day, and then persevered through, and now it's just kind of a funny story.
I'm Bron, I'm 36 and I'm from Dubbo in New South Wales. I think it was about last winter or early spring I started to plan it, get the idea, and that was basically, I was just going through a really hard time, a bit stuck in life, you know, a bit of crap going on. I'm just like, I just need to get away on a break, and I just feel best in the bush. Well, the plan was about 2 months, but already I've spent a week in Denmark, and there's also a 10-day meditation retreat I want to do in Bibbulmun. So if I do that, then the whole thing will take a fair bit longer. And I'm also, I'm not on any time constraints, which is so good. So that means if other stuff does come up in a town that I really want to do or see or whatever, then I've just got that flexibility. So yeah, so who knows? But I don't want to run too much into the rain and the cold in winter. So yeah, let's see. I'm here on my own. Originally when I planned it, I thought, oh, you know, try and get a friend or something. Then I sort of realised no one else is going to get 2 months off work. And then it became a thing of actually really wanting to do it on my own. And now I'm so glad I'm doing it alone. It's just so much, like, better.
I'm Kevin Tanchi, I'm 61, come from Point Lonsdale, a little seaside village in Victoria. I heard about the track in 2001 when I was working in Western Australia for 3 weeks. I drove to Albany and saw signs that said Bibbulmun, Bibbulmun, Bibbulmun all over the place, and I thought it was a gas pipeline. So when I got to the Gloucester tree, it was actually a track, because I saw the signs that said Bibbulmun track in the Gloucester tree park. And thought, I might walk that one day. And 15 years later, I did. In 1,000 kilometres, it is amazing that in some sections on one day, you will be walking in Kari, Tingle, sand dune, beach. Unbelievable. So, as a full experience, unbelievable. 9 out of 10, but that's an end-to-end. If you were doing it, if you just pick sections that you wanted to walk, I'd rate it as 10 out of 10. I mean, just pick the eyes out of it and go for a few days here, a few days there. Marvellous.
I love the fact that it's just long. It shows a lot of parts of WA, Western Australia, that no one really gets to see. It definitely highlights all the nature and all the animals and things that are only in this region, which is really cool. And not only that, it's you can make it your own thing. It could be an easy walk in the woods, and you can just have 17K or 12K day if you want. But you can also use it as like a training exercise like I'm doing and make it just double hot, do 30K, 40K, 45K days and make it a challenge. So it's kind of, you can tailor it to however you want.
And also just all these different eco-regions, the Kerry Forest, the Jarrah Forest, and of course the Southern Ocean, which is just spectacular. And I think one of the best parts of the track, which is why I'm happy we get to spend it at the end. And I'm really happy that this is what I chose to do when I came to Australia. I've really had an authentic Australian experience because, met real people, seen all the animals they have all in the wild, and just, had a physical challenge the entire time too.
We arrived at the Irwin Inlet, and there was 6 kayaks on the other side and 1 on our side. So we did a bit of ferrying of kayaks.
Yeah, we helped out. It was very windy, and so it was interesting paddling, but using the wind to drift in. It was actually a lot of fun.
So far you've walked from Albany to Peaceful Bay.
Yep.
And of course you've got a lot further to go. But between Albany and Peaceful Bay, what's been your favourite?
Oh, the canoes today. That was just awesome.
So what made the canoes so awesome?
I don't know, it's just the fact that, where else do you do a bushwalk where you canoe across an inlet? I just loved it. Plus I guess I'm into kayaking, so it's my 2 main loves, you know, bushwalking and kayaking. But I don't know, it's just something just really cool and different. So
ooh, the shelters. The other day, was it yesterday? I don't know. There was a shelter on stilts which was awesome. It had like a little deck and everything overlooking the little river. But yeah, they're all different. Depending on the north and the southern section, they're all kind of different, and they always surprise you where they're located. It kind of just pops up at you. So it's always a nice surprise to have a roof over your head at night. Whereas other tracks around the world, you can be stuck out in the rain, and that's obviously pretty crappy. But
so after the day where I got stuck in the rain, getting to my first shelter was like getting to a 5-star hotel. And a lot of my hiking that I've done is on the Appalachian Trail, and these shelters are so much nicer than that. They're much more better maintained. They have the water tank, so you always have water to fill up. And they've got toilet paper in the bathrooms there, which I've gotten kind of used to. And Patrick always just says, you need to bring your own because, you know, it might not be there one day. And
I told him, I was like, dude, you haven't been carrying toilet paper the whole time? You only have 3 pairs of socks and you don't have any toilet paper. What are you gonna do?
one night I walked up onto this lookout behind the campsite, and yeah, the sun had set, and you know, like all the sort of mist from the sea spray and that was all over the mountains and the ocean, and it was all just glowing pink, all that mist and spray all glowing pink, and the mountains were all just silhouetted, and I was just like, oh my god, I had tears in my eyes. It was just one of those moments. I was like, wow, it's unbelievable, seriously. Like, it's the best set up walk I've ever done. It's almost glamping to me, knowing that there's a hut every night and there's water. Yeah, is really, and a toilet is really, really fantastic. And the fact that there's such good maps and guidebooks as well. Lots of snakes. Only a snake a day. I've lost count. I think I'm up to about 6 snakes in 8 days of walking or something. I didn't sleep in a hut one night because in the logbooks and that said there was a snake that lived there. I'm like, no, I'm not sleeping in here. Even if I put my tent up, I don't want to get out in the middle of the night and turn on a snake. This big tiger snake, no way. So I pitched my tent away. Anyway, I was telling someone else this, and they said, oh yeah, the best snake story on the track was he opened a pocket in his bag that he doesn't use much or something. He hadn't opened it for 2 days and a snake came out of it. So he'd been carrying this snake for 2 days down the track. I was like, no. I would just, freak out. Little bandicoot at that hut, I can't remember which hut it was. It was so cool to have a little bandicoot snuffle around. Like, I got to the campsite, turned on the rain, fill up my bottle, and then he came out to get the drips. It was so cute. It's actually restored my faith in humanity and society a bit. Partly the reason I came on this walk is just because I need to get away from people. I'm sick of society, and it's, you know, it's effed up, and so many people have shallow values and they lack integrity. And then, yeah, on this walk, I'm meeting so many people with similar kind of values and stuff that's been really good. So, yeah, and people like you who are out there, you know, doing stuff, creating films, getting more people involved in bushwalking, you know, all that sort of thing. Yeah, young lady Rhiannon, she's like only 26 and she's doing it. It's like, I would never have had the confidence at that age, you know? And then I shared a hut one night with a 74-year-old woman who just likes walking on her own. You know, her husband's passed away, she loves it, and it's just what she does. So that's been really, really inspiring as well.
Out of Walpole, that hilly going through the curry trees, because curries are my favourite, and tingle trees, which are amazing.
Yeah, beautiful.
And then that big drop down to the beach at Conspicuous Cliffs. That's an amazing place, isn't it? And you start going up, and then you get great views, and then you come down, and then you can nip down to the beach if you're brave enough to have a swim. The water's so beautiful. We had Mount Hallowell, which I really like, because I actually like climbing. I'm actually more comfortable going uphill than down. We had to go down the other side. Got great rock formations, great trees again. See, I like curry trees.
Yeah, the curry trees. Yeah, the curry trees are great, but I like the big cave at the top. That's pretty impressive. That was great. Into Denmark, that was a nice section.
Yeah. Yeah, nice views down to Ocean Beach.
We were pretty strong walking that day, so it was it was nice. Yeah, great views from up there too. And Monkey Rock on the way was good too.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of a dash off track to get it on
I didn't
Monkey
see
Rock.
any monkeys though, so
no.
Sometimes on a journey like this, you will come across moments in time that make you stop and think. This happened when I was heading up Mount Hallowell and I met this family. I am on Mount Halliwell, is that correct, Charlie?
Yeah, not quite.
Not quite, yeah. Going up it.
Going up Mount Halliwell, and I've come across these 5 people. So let's introduce ourselves.
Hi, I'm Janet Buckle.
Sue Sword.
Kevin Howe.
Karen Howe.
Harry Smith.
Hi, Charlie.
Charlie. So tell me what you guys up to.
Our dad was walking the Bibbulmun track and he didn't quite manage to finish it, so he's had 100 kilometres left to do, but unfortunately he got sick and he died last year, so we're coming to finish the track for him and spreading his ashes along the way to make sure he comes as well. So that's his hat that we're taking turns wearing.
Yes.
So we had photos in different spots with the hat and we're just taking him along with us so we can complete the journey for him.
That's fantastic. And what was your father's name?
Dave Thompson.
And when did he start the journey?
He's
Probably about 20 years ago, originally, just section by section, bit by bit. He's done lots of other walking, bushwalking and stuff like that.
Cave and places.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah, but he's aimed to come down and do this last part. We've actually got his books and things where he wrote all his notes and things about coming down, but unfortunately he just got too sick to make it, so we thought we'd make sure he completed it.
Us non-walking.
Yeah, so it's killing us.
Do not move much at all. They've done exceptionally well.
The last laugh now.
Yeah.
We had to go to a wedding. That was a bit bizarre because we had to go into society, we had to have grooming, we had to buy clothes. After being on the track, the consumerism and all of that sort of
clash.
Yeah, materialism, that we had to go and buy clothes and shoes and have hair done, that just seemed all wrong after being
And have a bath.
Oh, that was okay.
I had to have the eyebrows done.
And the wedding at Dunsborough was on the beach. It was really nice. It was a beautiful wedding. And then after that we drove back to a friend's place who has a farm out near Giants. Stayed there a couple of days and then started doing the hike again. This time it was coastline. We hit the coast.
I know there's a bit of carry tree through there.
It's
through
nice
the tingle
carry.
trees.
Yeah, it was beautiful carry forest. Really good stuff around there. Then after that we started hitting the coast again, and the coast is, I love the coast. The track's a bit sandy, soft, and I don't know what you thought about that.
That was a bit soft, and because I have got an ankle problem, that did aggravate it a little bit. From here we've got to go to Muttonbird, and then we got Sand Patch, and then we're into Albany, so that's 2 more nights out and 3 more days walking. How do you feel?
I'm feeling great. Yep, my feet are standing up to it. They've always been good. My back's been good. Sometimes my shoulders ached, but I didn't get any blisters or anything like that. So sometimes tired because it's not an easy trek.
No.
When you're backing up every day, it's not an easy trek to do. Nearly 1,000 k's, and that is a factor. You wear down a bit near the end. So, but we're looking forward to finishing.
A lot of people in the book say, it's a mixed feelings. It's great to be getting off, but then you're going to miss certain parts, and then you have to reintegrate into society and pretend you're normal again.
Get into the rat race.
Hey, this is normal.
Normal for us.
It is actually. Yeah. Exactly right.
So we'll see you in Albany.
Yes,
definitely.
We will.
Looking forward to it. We will.
Being on the track, it's completely different to your day-to-day routine of work and family, etc. The only 4 things that you really need to think about is eating, sleeping, walking, and keeping yourself hydrated. Only 4 things you need to think about. Oh, maybe 5, follow the woggle. Yeah, that would be good.
Just get out and do it, and don't, take a risk and go out and have fun, but also really, really make sure you talk to the people you meet and get to know them as people, because everybody in the track has a different story and you can learn something from them. And that's been one of the most meaningful parts of the track for me, and that's what I'm going to take back with me home. And just really take advantage of the place you are, the people you're with, and this incredible journey you're on.
Stopping here and looking at flowers, and I might have a swim there. Don't rush your days to get them over with. Just take it like you would a normal day walk, where you're stopping and regularly smelling the roses or smelling the orchids.
I took 58 days in the end. By the time I got to Albany, I was almost like at a snail's pace, because I just didn't want it to end. In all honesty, if I was prepared and if I didn't have to go back to work and had no other commitments, I just felt like just having a little sleepover in Albany, a cup of coffee, and then just getting back on the track and walking all the way back north.
On my final day walking, I decided to invite people to come out and join me on the track. I wanted to celebrate the track and have a fundraiser of let's give back to the track. It started out at Mundaring Weir, and there was a few people that joined me. I only had 20 kilometres left to walk.
as we got further down the track, more and more people started to join in. It was just so overwhelming. At one point, I just stopped on the trail and watched everybody walk by. It was amazing how many people had come out to spend that final day walking with me. It was so emotional in such a good way. 54 days in the bush, and then to be greeted at the end like this was incredible. Before reaching Kalamunda at the end point, the northern terminus trailhead was actually under repair, so I had big fences around it. So my girlfriend and I split off from everybody else and took a spur trail up to that so I could officially finish the walk. And that was just incredible, the two of us going up there. It was an amazing thing. After that, we rejoined everybody else and went back and continued walking on to the visitors centre in Kalamunda. And that is where there were even more people waiting for our arrival. It was just such an amazing day.
Get over there.